I know it's been a little bit since I have uploaded a video, and that's because there really hasn't been anything to talk about that has came out on my side, and I've been really taking a break of doing YouTube for this short time because I really need a break with how work's been, along with focusing more on streaming a little bit over at my Twitch channel that you can find down below in the description. But let's take a look at some of the cards that you are going to be in Photon Hypernova that's not Kashira focused. But there are two cards that are going to be in this list that are from the branded lore that I know people are definitely expecting. First off, we have Bestial Baldrake. Baldrake is another bestial monster by name that does the exact same thing that all the others do, which is target lighter dark, banish, summon, and quick effect if your opponent has a monster on the field. But this is the more interesting one that you want to pair with, like Druid's Worm. If your opponent special summons a Ritual Fusion, Synchro, Exceed, or Link monster, except during the damage step, tribute one other light or dark monster, target one of those summoned monsters, banish it. So if you have this in your hand with a Druid's Worm on field, you would banish a light or dark, summon this, use the effect, pop whatever summoned, send Druid's Worm, and send another one to the graveyard. So this card with Druid's Worm is a free 2 of removal, even though they get to use 2 cards to do it. It's definitely very useful, and in my opinion, it's definitely good to see a lot more play over things like Serenair, but the engine is going to be 3 Magnemite, 3 Druid's Worm, probably 1 or 2 Baldrake, and 1 Serenair. So you're going to be running at least 8 to 9 Bestials with respective names. Now after that we have Ice Jade Grimmer. This is the synchro monster of the Ice Jade Grimmer that is very, very good. It takes a water tuner and 1 or more non-tuner monsters, so you could run it especially in Sword Soul. Quick effect, you can make face-up monsters you control become unable to be destroyed or banished by your opponent's card effects for the rest of the turn. Then if this effect was activated in response to the activation of an opponent's card or effect, you can banish all cards with that name on your opponent's field or in their graveyard. If a card is banished by an opponent's card effect while this is in the graveyard, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card. So this card is actually very useful for things like Sword Soul, because it gets rid of certain cards that your opponent has. So if they activate probably something like Pot of Prosperity, that gets rid of a lot of the consistency. This gets rid of a lot of the spells, traps, monsters that the deck runs. So essentially it can turn off quite a bit of decks if you really need it to go through. Now, this is definitely a card you could summon going first over Chi-Chi, Long, Barone, or any other of the level 10 synchros, but in my opinion, it is definitely an option for decks that are water. And it also helps that we're getting another Ice Jade monster coming in Cyberstorm Access that makes it easier to summon this. Now let's get into everything else. First off, we have Chaos Mirage Dragon. This card has been seen play in the OCG in certain decks because you could target a banished light or dark monster and you special summon it to your field, but effects are negated. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the X-Check for the rest of the turn except light or dark synchro monsters. So this is a extender and it's also a tuner, so you can instantly go into things probably like Chaos Angel when it releases in the Cyberstorm Access. You could summon out many different light or dark synchro monsters, which is very useful. But you can do a whole range of level 5 all the way up to level 12 if you really wanted to. If this card is sent to the graveyard as a synchro material, you can target cards your opponent controls up to the number of materials used for that synchro summon, banish them. This is a very powerful effect because it can get rid of multiple cards your opponent controls, and it being more so a one of in certain decks can be very useful. And in my opinion, it will definitely see play, even though it is a worm. that is absolutely fine, because we have a little other dragon coming in Cyberstorm Access that is pretty much a dragon tuner and a worm tuner. After that, these two go pair in pair. We have Hexaring Master Fury and Circle of Fury. These two cards go hand in hand because this is an extender. If there is an insect and or plant monster in either graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand, and you can only summon it that way once per turn. If this card you control is used for a synchro material for an insect or plant monster, you can treat it as a non-tuner. And that's where you go up into the level 7 synchro. It takes one tuner, one or more non-tuners, so you could technically run this in Trap Tricks, which is very useful, or any other fairy, well, play it or insect deck, kind of like you could play it in Sun Avalon if you wanted to, or you can play it in Rika. Now for the synchro, during your main phase, you can normal summon one insect or plant monster in addition to your normal summon or set. You can only gain this effect once per turn. This is very useful for exactly that. For getting an additional normal summon on for your plant monsters or your insect monsters if you're running it in either of the deck, and this is a very useful card just for that. When a monster is destroyed by battle involving your insect or plant monster and sent to the graveyard, you can target one of those destroyed monsters and inflict damage to your opponent equal to half the attack it had on the field. Then you gain life points equal to the damage inflicted. So not only burning your opponent, you also gain life points, so there is a drastic difference if it is getting close to time. But this is a good synchro monster just because it gives you another additional normal summon or sets. So decks like Rika, Trap Tricks on Avalon can definitely utilize this very, very well. Now onto the mainstead staples that might see play in a lot of decks. We have triple tactics tasking. If your opponent has activated a monster effect this turn, set one normal spell or trap card directly from your deck except triple tactic tasking. And it cannot be activated that turn, or if your opponent controls a monster, you can add that card to your hand instead. You can only activate one of these per turn. Now this is going in line with triple tactic talents, so if you open up this in talents, you are really set off. So your opponent has a monster, they activate a monster effect, you go triple tactic talent, draw 2, or take control of a monster, discard a card out of your opponent's hand, one of the 3. And then you can go tasking, adding whatever else you need. So you can add board breakers like Dark Ruler No More, Raigeki, Dark Hole, Kaiju Slumber, and the list goes on. This list is so long that it is so absurd. But this is one of the highlight cards that are going to be in set. It's probably going to be secret rare because Konami likes putting cards like these as secret rares. Overall, this is a very solid card. People in the OCG are definitely playing it. People who are testing this set are 100% playing it because the card is really good. It's more of a side deck card, but it really helps if people are playing more Cyframe Gamma. This is going to be the one that really helps in this whole situation. And the final card, we have weight measuring. If your opponent controls at least 2 or more monsters than you do, they must send monsters they control to the graveyard so they control 1. This card gets 100% around, just 100% around tower type cards and many other strategies. So things like Altergeist, things like Labyrinth, Eldritch, and any type of trap deck could definitely run this because it is a super powerful card. Now, this is also probably going to be a secret rare because it is in the one slot that a secret rare could be in. Overall, this is a very, very good card, very useful card. You can set it off a trap trick or trap tracks. So there's 2 targets. They could get it so you could have many targets. So with that, there is so much utility that comes with this as it just breaks the board. And if you manage to have it set no monsters on the board, it's just a complete board wipe if they don't have a negate. But I'm going to round up this video here. I want to know what you guys think about all these selected cards that I pulled off. Is there any ones that I missed? But anyways, I've been Bolt Spider. See you guys in the next video, and goodbye.